that milk went bad. Oh, Santaran milk was a bad idea. I'm dying. I'm dying. But I can fix it. It's easy. See?
Why did that take 3 months? Anyway, welcome back to the... New teeth. Weird. Hello everyone, I'm your host, the last angry cinema snob. Tonight's episode is Let's Kill Hitler.
I guess it didn't take. I almost understand how my clothes changed, but I wasn't wearing glasses before I turned into the cinema snob. Anyway, this episode takes place a few months after A Good Man Goes to War. Amy and Rory are back in their proper time zone. A quick attempt at crop circling and the couple are reunited with the Doctor. The trio are then joined by Amy and Rory's best friend, Mels. Mels knows all about the Doctor and his time machine and has an interesting idea.
You've got a time machine, I've got a gun. What the hell? Let's kill Hitler.
A flashback shows the lives of the three friends together. Mels is Amelia's best friend, and possibly the one person who believes in the Doctor more than she does. Rory is, of course, Rory, a bit pathetic and devoted to Amy. Cut back to the present and the TARDIS is out of control after Mels has shot it. We then cut to 1930s Germany, and a Nazi soldier is confronted by a janitor. As a group of technicians bring their computers online, the janitor transforms into the Nazi. We realize that the techs are inside of the janitor/Nazi. They then shrink the Nazi down and let the antibodies dispose of him. Wow! Tiny people living in a robot body? That's never been done before. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to enjoy this classic Will Smith rap song. Robo-Nazi janitor approaches a man in a room and blasts him with a ray. Just as the techs realize they've arrived too early in this man's time stream, the TARDIS crashes in and flattens him. The Doctor and crew pour out of the smoking TARDIS. The man thanks them for saving his life, and they realize that it's none other than Adolf Hitler. After a moment or two of shock, the faux Nazi arises, and Hitler fires off a few shots that damage the robot. The crew aboard the robot decide a feint would be perfect so they can observe the situation. However, the Doctor, Amy, and Rory realize that Mels has also been shot. While they're dealing with this, the robot crew realizes that the TARDIS belongs to the greatest war criminal ever. They try and keep Mels talking when she drops a bombshell.
I was going to marry you.
Good idea. Let's get married. You stay alive and I'll marry you. Deal?
Shouldn't you ask my parents' permission? Since they're both right here.
Her regeneration kicks in and Mels becomes the River Song we're more familiar with. The crew recognize her as Melody Pond, the woman who kills the Doctor. However, River, still Melody, is full of the Silence's programming to assassinate the Doctor. We then begin between Melody and the Doctor a fun series of one-upsmanship. She steals a kiss, then decides to check out Berlin as the Doctor collapses. The Doctor sends Amy, Rory, and his sonic screwdriver after Melody while he heads into his TARDIS. Still regenerating, Melody is pretty much indestructible, and Amy and Rory follow her on motorbike. They, in turn, are followed by the robot crew. The Doctor activates his voice interface with the TARDIS and cycles through his last few companions to find an avatar he can interact with. Finally finding one that he's satisfied with, the TARDIS continually tells him,
I'm not merely a pod, I'm a voice interface.
The Doctor can't figure out a way to save his own life. Just as he's about to pass out, he hears,
Fish fingers and custard.
What did you say?
This re-energizes him and he sets the TARDIS in motion. Melody goes into a restaurant and robs its patrons of their clothes, just as Amy and Rory and Amy show up. Amy enters Melody's restaurant and we see that the real Amy and Rory are now trapped inside the robot. The antibodies almost kill them when a crew member slaps wrist sensors on them that mark them as privileged. As fake Amy attacks Melody, they are stopped by the arrival of the Doctor.
Doctor Who?
I was going to wear a tuxedo to this review, but now I just look tacky. Thanks, Doctor. The Doctor quickly surmises that this Amy is a robot and Amy and Rory are trapped inside, but then the poison kicks in. The robot again attacks Melody, but the Doctor comes to her defense. The Captain confirms Melody is his killer, and that his group extracts criminals at the end of their timeline for further punishment. The Doctor asks for access to his records, but the Captain refuses. Amy demands he make them available, and as Melody's mother, it's discovered she has privileges. The Doctor asks who wants him dead, and the robot confirms that the Silents aren't an alien species, but a religious order who are afraid of the asking of the oldest question in existence.
What is the question?
Unknown.
Oh, well, fat lot of use that is, you big ginge.
The machine begins to punish Melody for the Doctor's death, but the Doctor begs Amy and Rory to stop them. Amy uses the sonic screwdriver to disable the crew's gauntlets, causing the antibody robots to run amok. As the crew beams out of the robot, the antibodies then turn their focus on Amy and Rory. With Melody watching, the nearly disabled Doctor crawls to his TARDIS to try and help his friends, calling for River to save them. As the antibodies surround Amy and Rory, the TARDIS materializes around them, and they find that Melody has flown the TARDIS, much to her own surprise. They return to the Doctor near dead. The Doctor whispers something to Melody, who in turn asks who River's song is. Using the robot, they show Melody that she is River. Shocked by this knowledge, River then kisses the Doctor while glowing with regeneration energy. We cut to a hospital where River is recovering, and we learn that River used all her remaining regenerations to heal the Doctor. The trio leave her behind with a brand new TARDIS journal at her side. As they head off into time and space, with the question of who River will one day kill hanging over their head, we cut back to River sometime later, now applying to study archaeology. And we realize that it's also she can find out when and where the Doctor will next appear. Well, after several months off, Doctor Who is back. Now, I'm going to give the BBC and Stephen Moffat credit for screwing with our expectations. I didn't get anything I expected in this episode. Let me read you the preview for this episode, in fact. The TARDIS crash lands in 1930s Berlin, bringing the Doctor face-to-face with the greatest war criminal in the universe, and Hitler. Now, I don't know about you, but I was expecting some sort of alien warlord to be behind the scenes secretly manipulating the Third Reich, and the Doctor and crew would have to stop him while leaving Adolf and the Nazis in their proper place in history. I even wondered if maybe that prison breakout scene in The Impossible Astronaut wasn't a scene from Let's Kill Hitler. But in fact, it wasn't. None of my expectations were met, and in fact, I couldn't be happier because of that. This could have been all about the good guys trying to save Hitler's life so he can live out his role in history, but it wasn't. This could have been Inglourious Basterds meets Doctor Who, but it wasn't. Hitler ended up being a footnote in this story, and given Adolf's historical importance, and the fact that every time travel show at one time or another uses his death as an example of changing the time stream, I'll give Doctor Who credit for avoiding cliches. Instead, the source of the adventure is, once again, River's song. What we get is, in comic book terms, a Year One story. An origin tale that's still very much connected to the present story arcs. In this episode, we see River's origins. What happened to her after her first regeneration in Day of the Moon. Growing up with her parents, albeit as a friend instead of a daughter. And the effects of the brainwashing by the Silents, all leading to her regenerating into the form we now know. And taking those first steps to become the good woman that we've known these past few years. Now, you'll recall on our last review that I felt River's song was wasted. Well, here the Doctor Who crew does a complete 180 and gives us perhaps the most important River Song story to date. On top of that, all the actors did a great job, with special attention being called to Alex Kingston, who played a much more manic and sinister version of her normal character. And I'm happy to officially revoke Arthur Darvill's status as a Mickey and promote him to badass for punching out Hitler. Bravo, sir. That's not to say this episode was perfect. As with the last episode, Let's Kill Hitler offered precious little answers to the nature of the Silents. We thought they were a race of mind-controlling aliens who'd taken over the Earth, but now, according to the shape-shifting robot, cool effect, by the way, they're a religious order. We still don't know why they're after the Doctor. No answers, just more questions. And I have to say, I called the miniature crew in a robot body the minute I saw them talking about the Nazi the janitor was following. It's been done before, both well and not so well. Overall, I felt this was a fun romp. It gave some much-needed backstory to River's song, and I appreciated that it defied my expectations in a fun way. I do feel it fell into the same trap this season's been in of asking more questions than it answers, but that's a minor quibble. I give Doctor Who, Let's Kill Hitler, 4 out of 5 TARDISes. Hoping to see you next time. I'm the last angry cinema snob. And, oh, no. Sorry, I'm still a little rattled. I'll get it sorted out. We'll see you next time for Night Terrors here on 80s Dad. I mean, you know who!